Welcome back to the channel. What can I say? It's been smooth sailing the last 3 weeks. 3 convincing wins in a row, capped off by a 40-20 blowout of the New York Giants. I said it a lot, but once again, the offense keeps clicking. Zeke and Pollard are both averaging 5 yards a pop. With the exception of a few mistakes, Dak is still on a hot streak, cooking up defenses. Meanwhile, the defense gets key stops and takeaways in big moments. Dallas now sitting at 4-1, looking to separate themselves from the pack in the NFC East. Looking for their 5th win to go on the road against New England and the 2-3 Patriots. Obviously, without Brady, it's not what they used to be, but it's not just Brady. It's much deeper than that. I'll even admit, when the Pats were a dynasty, I never gave them that much attention. To them beyond Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, I'd argue Cowboys fans think the same way. And to be honest, it made this game harder to preview. So, to do it right, I want to bring in a special guest to break it all down. Joining me tonight is a friend of the show, but a brother to me, my guy Jonathan, aka DJ Bottle Bottle. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, Brody. How are you, man?
Good, man. Good. Just getting set up, ready to talk Pats, man. Long time coming, though, right?
It is a long time coming, but I'm here for it, though.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we got to break this game down bit by bit. And so you being the Pats expert, had to call you in to kind of talk this game over. So for everybody listening tonight, just let them know, because they don't know this, though. You actually do a lot of my background instrumentals for these videos. So just tell them, man, how's it feel to go from the keyboards to the microphone?
That's a fact, bro. It's just a hobby of mine that I've been into since a teenager. Like even having internships in high school, just at Brown University in their music studio, just getting it in since I was 16, and just kind of, it's a hobby that followed me through. So the fact that we know each other, we're real tight, and I know that you were starting this channel and focusing more on the sports, I figure, hey, why not? And provide a soundtrack to my Brody. So that's how that started the partnership.
Yeah. I mean, it's always appreciate you hopping on to any low capacity. So almost like being an exec producer in the back end. So I appreciate that, man. But so we know pretty much at this point, like you told me several times, man, you are a Pats lifer pretty much. Tell the people, man, tell them about your background, your experience, and just how you became a Pats fan. You told me a couple times before, but just let everybody know.
So the short end of it is more so when I was a teenager, my mom had put me in the Big Brothers program. And at the time, I was a 49ers fan just solely because of Jerry Rice. So my big brother just so happened to have season tickets for the Patriots. This is when we was playing like in old Foxborough Stadium. Pete Carroll was the coach. Drew Bledsoe was still the quarterback. And he just kept taking me to the games. We didn't have nothing to do. We'd go watch the Patriots play on a Sunday. So the more that we went, I got converted to a Patriots fan. It had to do with a couple back-to-back, like last-second wins against the Dolphins and the Bills on back-to-back weekends. And at that point, I was kind of just hooked. So and this would have been in 1998. So I didn't know, 3 years later, we was going to be basking in success. So I jumped on board right on time, I guess.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that's you fortunate. You sound kind of like me, man. Like most Cowboys fans listening, that's kind of we saw the train moving and hop right on and got with it. So kind of to break it down, I wanted to go just bit by bit and talk about the personnel and what we can expect the Pats to do. I know off the top of your head, you got the numbers. We already discussed this kind of in the preview, but just kind of tell me, man, tell me about the Pats front four and tell me about what they do well and what they don't do so well.
Well, what they don't do so well just right off the bat is running defense. What teams have been doing against Bill Belichick-led defenses, and even more so, Brian Flores, Jerron Mayo, and dating back to Matt Patricia, is that teams have been able to run ramshot against us. Whether it be having Chase Winovich standing up or in the 3-tech, it's more so, it doesn't really matter. Most of the successful runs are off the edges, and we just never be able to set the edges. However, this season, with Christian Barmore in the mix alongside with Lawrence Guy, we've been able to stop most of the runs up the middle, but the front four is more susceptible to the run than they are to anything else. That's why we don't really produce a lot of quarterback pressures, because we're always prepped for the play action, assuming that they're gonna run. So we're not really rushing the quarterback because we always bracing for the run. Right, because that's just a big weakness of ours.
So then, I mean, because you kind of laid it out that way, where the run's going to be an issue either way.
Right.
What's one runner you think you want to see, I guess, get more carries? Because, Dallas kind of tends to split them up 50-50 almost. Do you prefer to see Zeke or Pollard? Who do you think gives you the most trouble?
Sees the most struggle is probably Zeke, because I think with Pollard, a lot of the film I've seen on Pollard is more so not necessarily on the edge runs, but he more so I don't really see him break too many big runs running over the middle. I think more so Zeke is like he's looking for contact, I believe. So when it comes to that, he's going to lead right into our strength, even though it's not big because it's generally a weakness. I think with Pollard, I'm more fearful of him being on the field because to me, he's more versatile. And so far this year, I believe Pollard is more productive, has been more productive. So just based on what we can do, he'd probably he would probably expose our run defense a lot more than Zeke can.
So stopping the run has a lot to do with the guys up front, but also the linebackers too. But the linebackers, we know all about Dante Hightower, first round pick from Alabama for years and years and years. I know he's the Mike, but on the outside, how do you guys operate? Is it Van Noy as the hybrid edge linebacker, weak side? Like, how do you guys operate from the linebacker standpoint?
That's a good question. So in regards to Judon for the most part, he's lining over he's on the right side. He's more so right over the right tackle. They'll split it up where it's been Van Noy and Hightower over the middle. At times they'll put Van Noy on the other side, on the left side. But he's been on the left not too often because that's where Winovich is. So and now with Jamie Collins in the mix, as far as I saw with the Texans game, when Jamie Collins was playing, he was playing alongside a Hightower up the middle. Belichick still keeps Judon and Winovich on the edges for the most part. So I believe Van Noy, he hasn't been good this year, so he's more so a rotation guy. Like he'll come in on passing downs and stuff like that.
So is it from more like a 5-2 versus a 4-3?
Right.
So it's a 5-2. So they have more of a 5-2 front. So you mentioned Matt Judon. Is Matt Judon already their best player on defense right now? I know he's a newcomer.
By far.
Easily.
By far. I think he's probably the best. I mean, hey, there's a hot take, but it might be the best free agent defensive signing since probably Adalius Thomas, bro. Like,
I mean, he's bad. So we saying he's good, or what are we saying?
Well, Adalius Thomas had a good season with us in 2007. You feel me? Like it's just more so as he was a one and done type of thing. But like it's by far, bro. The thing with Judon is, like, I'll put it into perspective. Chase Winovich last year was our best pass rusher. He only had 5.5 sacks. Horrible. 5.5. Judon so far through 5 games got 6.5. So I mean, and he already said he broke the record for the most sacks for a Patriot in the first 5 games, like in franchise history, 6.5. So it's at that point where Judon is a game changer, bro. It's just unfortunate that we don't rush the passer as much as we did when we won the Super Bowl against the Rams. Like when Brian Flores ran our defense, it was 0 blitzes and just nonstop pressures. And it's been none of that since he left. So I'm grateful for Judon, but it's like nobody else is really doing their part on the front set.
So what makes him special? Is it like, I mean, because you can tell me about Chandler Jones too. Is there some kind of comparison between the two? Like what makes him a guy? Is it the first step? Is it the motor? Is it the speed, the power? What makes Judon so productive? What's his calling card?
I noticed Judon's first step isn't really explosive. Especially looking at the Texans game, like he'll take the first step nonchalantly, and I just more so think he overpowers the right tackle, where he'll have this one move where he'll push the right tackle back and kind of shifts him out the way, and then he's right in there. So it's I think it's more so his power. He's a power rusher. He's not a speed rusher. So for whatever reason, these right tackles just ain't ready for him. And there was a stretch where Bill did move him on over, facing over the left tackle when Tunsil got hurt. But once he moved on over to that side, he had a sack from both sides. So it's not very explosive on the first step. He just overpowers these blockers.
So have you been able to take a look at Terrence Steele on the right side for Dallas? Do you kind of have an idea what he might be going up against?
Well, with him, I've seen a bit, in my opinion, a little inconsistencies. I think Terrence Steele might be more so I guess his strength may be more so on the run blocking than it is pass blocking. So if he does step back to throw, Steele's not going to have a lot of time to block Judon, because all it takes a couple steps and Steele will be pushed out the way. Yeah. The way Judon's been playing. So with the running plays, y'all should be okay. But with the passing plays is where I would probably be a little nervous if Judon's facing them.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that, because I think he's gotten some help along the way with the chips, the tight ends kind of coming in there to help out a little bit. So going from the front to the back, the safety. So the first name I had to talk about and discuss is somebody who's not even there anymore, Stefan Gilmore, because you actually called it with Gilmore. I think you called your shot early. You said he was going to Carolina. So tell me why he had to go, or why he was sent off, and why did you pick Carolina off the jump? And you actually got it right, but kind of talk about that real quick.
So the reason why I chose Carolina is because at the time there was only 4 teams. From what I heard, that Gilmore wanted 15 a year on average. So there were only 4 teams that had the cap space to give him the 15, and I'm talking this year. So Carolina was one of the teams. So to me, it was a toss-up between Carolina and Denver. But as we discussed, you and I, that Denver, they're pretty stacked on the defensive backs. So Carolina made the most sense. And at that point, he went to Carolina. So the disconnect between Gilmore and Bill Belichick was more so because he wanted the 15, and there was no way that we was going to be able to pay him that. Even though we do have a few coming off the books for right now, next year, we're talking McCourty, talking Hightower, got a few of the staple guys on a contract year right now. But it's more so like, I can't really sign you, Gilmore, and then bring some of our core guys back, or, probably re-sign JC Jackson, because, if we pay you, I got to sacrifice somewhere else. So I don't think Belichick was with that. I don't think Gilmore wanted to budge on that. So it helps that I think Belichick did Gilmore solid, because Gilmore is from Carolina. He's from North Carolina. So I think he did him a solid at the end of the day, and he traded him there. He only got a six-round draft pick. Most teams, from what I've been seeing on Twitter, is like Belichick didn't really make him available. Like, he wasn't available to anybody. And they were saying that he probably would have gotten more. But I think sending him to Carolina is more so doing Gilmore solid. It's like, hey, man, you worked your ass off for us, so I'm going to send you home type thing. So that's how I look at it.
So wait, so you're telling me Bill actually did right by a player?
I believe so, man. It's not the first time, bro. What's my man, Dante Stallworth? He did the same thing for him when he put him on IR so he could get a check for his last year, so he could get a retirement, so he could qualify for retirement. So I mean, hey, bro, like I heard Revis recently on I Am Athlete just talking about like nobody likes it in the locker room up in New England, because he said that he hated it when he was up there for that 1 year. But I just feel as though when you're a mercenary and you're not really, if you haven't really bought in, Belichick's gonna treat you as what you are, as a mercenary. But if you've been around, because Stallworth had 2 stints with the Pats, it's really the second stint is when he put him on IR so he could get his retirement eligibility. Like I believe there's good to him, and I believe he does right by his guys. And when it comes to Steph got us. He helped us win a championship. Like he was the one that put the dagger on it. So I believe if he couldn't give him the bread, I believe he, at the very least, he's like, all right, then stay home then. So that way, you could play for your home team.
Makes sense. So you talked about these guys before, and I know we've discussed them just in a casual conversation. J.C. Jackson and Jonathan Jones. Tell me real quick, are these the best corners in football that nobody seems to know about? How accurate is that statement, would you say?
J.C. Jackson, he's a ball hawk for sure. It just goes to show last year he had 9 interceptions. He was tied with, I believe, Xavier Howard with 9 last year. So he's a ball hawk for sure. But what happens is, with ball hawks, you could get exposed like a lot. Like he did last week against the Texans. He had a very detrimental PI call against him in the first half. And then most of the Texans' big plays were against J.C. Jackson, because I believe he was playing for the ball instead of playing the cover. And he does have his moments. He's not inconsistent where it's like 1 week you get this, the next week you get that. I believe he's inconsistent slightly where you may get solid contribution for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then on the 4th week he'll have like a drop off. It really just depends. Jonathan Jones, I believe he is very underrated. He's more so, he covers, he's ideally on the outside or covering the second best receiver that a team has, because Jonathan Jones has speed. So he's a really good cover corner. Not where so J.C. Jackson plays, he's a ball hawk. I believe Jonathan Jones really makes up the ground because he covers really well. So yeah, I believe Jonathan Jones is more so underrated because the stats don't really show. But then again, like when Brady targeted him last week, Antonio Brown really didn't get too much burn because Jonathan Jones was on. And the times that Antonio Brown did get some catches is when Jonathan Jones went out with an injury and they brought in Justin Bethel, who's a special team specialist. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's what it is, bro. Like, I do like our 2 corners, our 2 outside corners. I just think J.C. Jackson, he has the potential to be, I say, top 15 corner in the league. But I believe, which is, I guess, good for me, because knowing that you gave up most of the big plays that Houston made, I believe facing Dallas, he's gonna play with a chip on his shoulder, and I believe they're gonna put him on Amari. He's gonna shadow Amari, and he's gonna try to do what he can. And it does help that he played for us, I believe, the last time we played, John.
I think so.
He played for us that time, and then so he got some film on Steph, and he can analyze what Steph did, and hopefully go from there.
So that being said, because you kind of built them all the way up. I set you up, so you built them way up in the sky. So just tell me, how confident are you that they can actually slow down CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and let's toss in Jalen Mills too, because I think he's your slot corner now, right? Mills.
Right. He does alternate depending, because again, our guy shadows. So if his guy's on the outside, then Jalen will go on the outside. Right.
So how confident do you think they can stop this attack? I think I saw a stat saying that they play cover one or cover one or man under.
Yeah.
Pretty much man across the board most of the time anyway. So they're going to be locked up one-on-one for the most of the game with the single safety high up. How
Right.
confident do you feel about that?
Not at all confident. Not at all. I'm gonna tell you that right now because CD Lamb, he's a beast, bro. Then you got Amari Cooper's like the route running specialist wizard of all time type dude. And uh I I really one thing the reason why so it's not more so because of their ability. I believe as though our secondary will hold their own, where it's like they won't really let a lot of big plays go off. But the reason why I'm nervous is because we don't generate a pass rush. Because without generating a pass rush, you're really allowing the Cowboys receivers to do whatever they want to do, and they have time because we're not really putting any pressure on that. So that's the reason why is it's maybe one or two of the guys might get some burn. Maybe Coop will have like a good quarter or a good half, and then CD might have a good quarter or a good half. I don't think it'll be together at the same time. I think it'll alternate maybe, but that's more so because of the lack of pass rush that we've had over the last year and a half.
So you're basically saying start Amari Cooper in fantasy football. Basically.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm
yes.
good. I'm covered. I'm covered.
Well, I wouldn't say start him. I would say start CD Lamb. How about that?
Well, I'm screwed. All right. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. One question I was saving to ask you though, man. Can you just tell me, man, how good of a job is Stephen Belichick doing calling the plays? Because I know Flores is gone. He's had the job for a couple of years now. Kind of rate him as a coordinator or play caller. Just how well is he doing from what you've seen?
Well, with Steve, so here's my theory. I believe that the defensive play calling, I think that alternates. I believe Gerard Mayo might have some, like, whether it be 1 week you, 1 week Steve, or maybe one half Gerard, the other half Steve. But I've noticed that we've tend to play better in the second half of games. Where teams will go off, like it started with Miami, like the bulk of their points in the first week came in the first half, and then Miami only scored once in the second half. And I believe, and the same thing with even the Saints, where that game wasn't close at all, but the Saints is the same thing. They scored once in the second half. So I believe if it is a situation like that, which is a theory, I believe Steve probably starts off calling the plays. And I believe Gerard Mayo only because he's played the game and he played the game for Bill Belichick. So I believe that, that's my conspiracy theory that, they alternate play calling duties and because we tend to play better in the second half, I believe that's doing part to Gerard Mayo's play calling, not necessarily Steve Belichick's. Because Steve, he started off as a defensive backs coach. Well, he started off as a safeties coach and then went to defensive back. So, and then Belichick's young other son coaches a safety. So I think it's more so Gerard Mayo that's been doing his thing, even though there's no official play caller, which is why we get to have these conspiracy theories, since there's, who knows what Matt Patricia's doing? He's probably up top there trying to do what Ernie Adams been doing for us for all these years. So who knows who's calling the plays?
So a lot of moving parts, man. So speaking of one strength that used to be a staple of the Patriots, the defense. So let's talk about the offense, man. So I'm going to say the big piece for last, but let's start with the O-line. So same question with the O-line. What do they do well? What don't they do well? It's a lot of new faces, man. I had to look it up to see who these guys were that I've never heard of before. But just tell me, what do they do well? Like, what's their go-to?
Well, what they do well is run blocking. I believe they they do set openings for Damian Harris to run up the middle. And I think it really stops there. I believe as though if it's not for Mac Jones getting rid of the ball and under 3.5 seconds, like he'd get hit so much. One thing though, I will shout out that with us having 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen out for Houston. I mean, I know Houston is not, world beaters on defense and stuff like that, but to only allow one QB hit on 4 QB pressures all game last week, like that's phenomenal with all replacement guys besides the anchor and David Andrews. So I just there's a reason why Mac Jones gets rid of the ball so quick because I don't think Isaiah Wynn. I don't think he's undersized for a left tackle and his footwork he just needs some work. He hasn't practiced this week. Michael Onwenu, he's pretty good, but he's also playing out of position because he was a right tackle last year. He's playing left guard due to Joe Tooney leaving out. He's been okay, but he's more so been his strength is run block, and we saw that last year. And then, Trent Brown, he's played like a quarter this year. He's been out with a calf injury. I think there's something more to that, another conspiracy theory on my end, but Trent Brown's only played a quarter for us. So, it is what it is. And then Shaq Mason, who also has not practiced this week. So 3 out of the 5 offensive lineman hasn't practiced this week, and Shaq Mason could do it all. Like I believe next to David Andrews, Shaq Mason is really good. In my opinion, he's probably top 10 guards in the league, if not top 5, bro. And I'm really trying not to be biased, but PFF, they love Shaq Mason. So
you're doing a good job so far, man. So you go right ahead.
It's not just me. I think Shaq, if I were to pick a strength for him, it is run blocking, but he's solid with pass blocking. I just feel as though with David Andrews there, I believe, it does help that a lot of the guys, the backup guys, have been in the system already. Like Ted Karras, even though he went to Miami last year, we drafted him. He spent at least 4 years with us before we brought him back. Trent Brown played with us a season on the left side. He's playing the right side now, but that's his natural spot. So, and I don't know, bro. Like it's a situation where we could run block pretty good, but Damian Harris is dealing with a rib situation, so he might not even play. We might start a rookie at running back this week, Ramondre Stevenson. I just, when it comes to pass blocking, like I said, there's a reason why Mac gotta get rid of it quick because he's been getting hit a lot.
So how much do y'all actually miss James White? I feel like when you lost James White, that took a lot out of the safety valve for Mac Jones. How much has that meant to you guys not having him there?
Immensely. James White, he's when it comes to running the ball, making his cuts, he's really good. Like he's not one of those runners for speed per se. I think he's more so trying to find the hole. So in regards to precision running, James White, he's our best precision runner. When it comes to route running, phenomenal. Like, you know what I mean? Great hands too. It really does suck that he's out. Even though it does provide an opening for Brandon Bolden, but Brandon Bolden, he's good with the hands. He has great hands. Like he made a play in Brady's last season against the football team where, Brady found him on the right side, like just floated it to him with coverage all over him. And he caught it and ran for a touchdown. Like, and I think that might've been like a 30 or 40-yard play too. So Brandon Bolden does have it, but whether it be due to inconsistency or just lack of playing time, it's one of those things where you don't really know if he can be a viable replacement. But yeah, James White, that loss hurts a lot because at this point, You got rid of Sony Michelle. Now what? You know what I'm saying? Now what?
All right, so we talked about this before. I think kind of projecting weapons, right? Like I know we talked before with Carson v. Dak and incubating young quarterbacks with help. That was always our big talking point. You
Right.
guys are in that same spot, and you guys spent money on receivers, that being Kendrick Bourne, Aguilar, the tight ends of Smith, Hunter, Henry. I know it's early, still really early, but can you kind of just evaluate what you have so far with these newcomers?
I feel as though they're using Aguilar the wrong way. Aguilar has a lot of speed, and the type of routes he's been running is not more so like he's not running go routes. He's not running routes to his speed, to his strength, which is more so, what he did in Vegas last year was he was taking the top off for defenses. Even like he was doing that when they had Ruggs on the team, who might be faster, who was probably, I can't say probably, he is faster than him.
Right.
But it was more so Aguilar that was taking the top off the defenses. Like he's not running those type of routes with us. Kendrick Bourne, I think he's a solid route runner. He got pretty good hands. A lot of the big plays that he's made, unfortunately, it was due to they were always negated due to flags, holding penalties on our guys. So like even the first couple of weeks, he made some phenomenal plays that just got called back. So I understand people were saying, based on what we had last year and a couple of years back, even on Brady's last season with us, to say that Kendrick Bourne, which I got a lot of love for Kendrick and I got a love for Nelson, to say that they're upgrades, that lets you know like how bad our weapons were. You feel me? So it's a I just think, I hate to sound like I'm getting on McDaniels, which I have been on Twitter. I might poke my head out, pause. I might show myself, pause again on Twitter, and just call out Josh McDaniels and be like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, what's up with these play calls? Like, you got speed on one side, you got good route running on another side. Like, what are we doing here? And so I just feel as though, yeah, they're good players. I won't knock them. They're NFL players, so they earn their spots. So I just feel as though the plays that are being drawn up aren't being drawn up to their strengths. So that's where I'm at with it.
All right. So really, is there a big play threat? Because I think I evaluate the players the same way you do, and I don't think there's a big time home run hitting player in this receiving class. You have not even in Kilharry, who I think is still on IR, right? He's out.
Nah,
So
he's back.
he's
He's back. He came back for the Tampa game.
Okay, but he's still been kind of iffy. Like we still don't see his potential being played out at all. So really, it seems like this team's kind of find their way with what they have, and they're just throwing stuff together and hoping they can do something. I mean, is it still advantage Cowboys in the secondary? It sounds like it is.
Well, here's the thing. Diggs will lock down his man. He's gonna lock down his man. So I feel as though on your secondary, one side will be covered, and the other backs, I believe they still a work in progress. In my opinion. However, in comparison to our receivers, it won't be a wash. You feel me? So as long as I know Mike is phenomenal in regard, like he could do it all. Like he could rush, he could cover, like he could do it all. So unless we run two tight end sets to keep the backers occupied, that's the only way. Like Jacoby Myers will get some burn, Kendrick Bourne will get some burn, like maybe even Jonnu Smith might get some burn. So I think as long as Diggs is out there occupied with like a decoy, I believe we'll be all right. It won't be a wash, but yeah, y'all would definitely hold y'all on. I just feel as though best believe that we're gonna target whoever we feel is the weakest link on y'all secondary.
Makes sense, man. So, all right. So we got to talk about Mac Jones in more detail. All right. So, but before we do that, just tell me, how surprised were you with them cutting Cam Newton? Like, what were your initial thoughts when they said, "Hey, look, we're dumping Cam Newton. We're just gonna go with Mac Jones"? What did you think when you heard that news?
I was very surprised. Even though I saw the writing on the wall more so for on the media side, I just felt as though when Mac came in, because they spent a first round pick on him, and the writers in Boston, they were just enamored with him, even in training camp. And I just felt as though, man, this seems it seems a little sketchy to me. Like, why are we really praising Mac Jones before he even takes a snap in preseason? I just felt as though, Cam's ability, like his experience, his versatility, I feel as though, Cam had the upper hand. Even though the only knock I got on Cam is his release. I hate his release. I want to kick it in the face, the release that he has. However, it's just in regards to Cam, it's just inconsistencies with accuracy is just horrible. He wide open guys, he's throwing the ball in the dirt. I'm just trying to figure out like what's going on here. It's probably doing parts of his damn release. So when Mac is showing improvement in training camp, and then here comes preseason, and although it's against the second stringers, Mac is out here, hitting his guys, because although he's playing against second stringers, he's also playing with second stringers. You feel me? So he's hitting his guys. He's very accurate. He's very consistent all throughout. So I just started seeing the writing on the wall. So when he was released, I just thought that they should have kept Cam just to let Mac just sit back and watch. You feel me? At least sit back and watch and get more acclimated to Josh McDaniels' offense. But when that happened, yeah, I saw it. I saw the alert, and I was like, wow, it was one of those.
It's funny, man,
Even
because
though,
I picked it. I actually predicted that to happen, though. I said if he does not win the job, he's gone. And it's only because I figured, hey, if you play Cam, we have to rebuild our whole offense again, the wrinkles and the read option fakes, and just you have to recraft a system all over again for somebody else. So,
oh, let me add to that real quick before we move on. When I saw his interview with his pops talking about Cam, when he said that, even though I've heard a lot of other points, but when he said that, he's never been in an offense where he had to identify the mic. When I heard that, I was like,
say what?
maybe, yeah. He said he's never been in an offense where he had to identify the mic. So apparently, watching all these morning sport talk shows, and watching Unc break it down, Unc, with the Black and Miles and the Henny and the wave cap, Uncle Sharp. He said that, based on his experience and other folks too, they're saying that they don't, there's a lot of offenses in the NFL that you don't have to do that, which I thought it was weird, because I've always heard Tom like 54 or 52, or you know what I mean? Like, so I know he was identifying the mic. So then when Cam said that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So all it took, like, I don't think it was much. Like, add that to the vaccination status, and just the little nuances that he did that maybe didn't fall right with the coaching staff. It made a lot of sense why they let him go.
It does, and it kind of always seemed like Cam was not the perfect fit for the mantra and the identity or the mystique of what the Patriots are. And Mac kind of, he fills right in. So sticking with Mac for a second, man, I'm trying to get a read on him myself. I have a pro con for him. You tell me if I'm far off. All right. So I've said Mac is Chad Pennington. How far off is that as far as the accuracy? Maybe not having the biggest arm, but as far as knowing where to go with the ball, being precise, being in rhythm and good timing. How far do you think that comp is of Chad Pennington and Mac Jones?
That Pennington. Well, I mean, I could kind of see that, but then again, it's like I'm trying not to get caught up in a lot of the narratives when it comes to comparisons, because there's been flashes of Mac Jones, and his accuracy and how he plays, like where his decision making, that I love and some that I hate. Um, and I think I'm more so, and I think a lot of like real Patriots fans are guilty of this, where it's more so like we amplify the negative and the positive. So at least I know I amplify more so the negative, where, I always question his decision making. It's like, why he do that? Like, what's going on here? Um, I just It's tough to get caught up, man, after 5 weeks. Like he's only played in 5 games, bro. And from what I can tell, Chad Pennington, if I'm not mistaken, as I'm looking at his his career accuracy percentage, completion percentage was 66. Like if we want to break it down, his first year in the league, Chad Pennington, he completed 40% of his passes. Like, what are we doing? Well, he wasn't a starter then. His first full year as a starter, he completed let's go with 69% of his passes. So yeah, Mac Jones is on that trajectory. You did what I'm saying. So, but then again, it's like, it's tough, man, because I believe Mac Jones could do a lot more. He's just a prisoner of the play calling and the schemes that Josh is throwing up. Again, here I go bashing Josh McDaniels again, but it is what it is, man. Like, I think it's a fair comparison.
So okay, fair enough. I mean, it seems, but you're telling me that you think Mac has more of a ceiling, that, because I mean, if I say Chad, it's almost like I give you a low ceiling, high floor. But you're saying that Mac can go way above what he's being given to work with.
I believe so. I believe so, and I'm really trying not to be biased, but I believe I believe so.
That being, well, hopefully we won't find out this weekend. But
Yeah.
so putting a bow on it real quick, what does Dallas
Okay.
have to do to stop this offense?
Well, don't blitz him. Do not blitz Mac Jones, because Mac Jones against the blitz, if I'm not mistaken, against the last 2 games that he's played, Mac Jones against the blitz has completed 88.2% of his passes. So don't blitz him. The first 4 weeks, it was a little different story. It was closer to 69%. So just the last 2 games when they blitz, it's really where he's made the defenses pay. So don't blitz him. What I would do, just again, he's a rookie. He's 5 games in. Disguise your defenses. Disguise the coverage. I believe, with doing that, it'll make his job a lot harder. You got to think, besides the Saints game, because the Saints game wasn't close, like it was a 2-score game. With pressure, like it, yeah, like they'll force 3-and-outs. They may get him off the field quick, but they're not really doing much to really hold them at bay, because ultimately when they start blitzing, that's when Max starts lighting things up and starts completing 19 passes in a row. You know what I mean? So just don't blitz them. That's my key advice for the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
So all that said, all that we've covered, you got to give me a score for this game. So put all your information together and give me a score. Go ahead.
Me, I'm a realist, man. I've never been one of those delusional Pats fans, man. I'm like a real, true red, white, and blue Pats fan. I believe the Cowboys will win this game. Let's see. I want to say 28 to 20, 28 to 21, 28-21.
All right.
So it'll be a 7-point underdog, in my opinion.
So I'll carry that. I will say I've been picking this score all year long, man, but I just feel like a 27-17 game. So 27-17 Cowboys. And but I was listening, it's going to be meme season for sure. So
Yeah.
forgive me in advance, man. It's going to be meme season on a couple accounts over there. But man, finally, before we wrap, man, just tell everybody how we can find you on Twitter and your DJ mixes, man.
So you can find me on Twitter at DJ Bought a Bottle. That's again at DJ Bought a Bottle. Been on Twitter for a little minute, about 4 years, and I'm trying to get my followers up because I don't even have 30. So what's going on here? Let's go. 4 years, 30 followers on Twitter. So it's DJ Bought a Bottle, and at Instagram at Just Bought a Bottle. Instagram, I play some of my previews of the mixes that I'll be dropping. SoundCloud, also at Just Bought a Bottle. Got crazy followers on SoundCloud for whatever reason. So whatever I'm not doing on Twitter, whatever I'm doing on SoundCloud, I gotta do on Twitter. So no, so at Twitter at DJ Bought a Bottle, Instagram at Just Bought a Bottle, and SoundCloud at Just Bought a Bottle.
Listen, if you're a content creator making these videos just like this, need an original sound to your videos. Look, if copyright claims are on your ass like they are for me, hit this guy up, man. For custom sounds, again, it's at DJ Bought a Bottle, all caps on Twitter. Hit him up. His sound is like that, and you guys are sleeping if you're not picking it up. For real.
Sleep, all the way sleep.
Wake up. Wake up. Hit the follow button on IG, Twitter. If you need a custom sound for your videos, hit my man up for sure. But that's all the time that we got. Once again, I'm LP Cruz at SDQ Flight Crew. As always, Cowboys up. Peace.